Section 19 of Library Essays, Papers Related to the Work of Public Libraries. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Library Essays, Papers Related to the Work of Public Libraries by Arthur Elmore Bostwick. Section 19. Efficiency Records in Libraries. In the foregoing article, the present writer gave the result of his experience in formulating and establishing systems of service in 4 large libraries and, incidentally, stated his conclusion that such systems should always remain in the control of the library authorities. While the plans therein described work satisfactorily from an inside standpoint, they are defective in one particular, that of complete record. This is most important in case of investigation by competent authority. While direct control of a library service system by an outside body, such as a municipal or other civil service board, is objectionable, there can certainly be no objection to the requirement, by municipal charter or state law, that the library service be organized and operated on the merit system, which requirement presupposes occasional inquiry to ascertain whether, and in what degree and form, this is the case. Now, in the event of such investigation, it will usually be easy to produce the records of examinations, with marked papers, tabulated marks, and the action based thereon. When it comes to personality and efficiency, such records are not easy to get. Even where libraries assign marks in these subjects and combine them with the results of the written test to obtain a final mark on which promotion is based, there is nothing to show how the marks were obtained, and the investigating authority might not unnaturally conclude that here was an opportunity to nullify the merit system. Evidently, all data on which appointment or promotion is based should be matters of record. Otherwise, a perfectly well-ordered merit system cannot be demonstrated to be such to one who has a right to know, and, of course, in the last analysis, every citizen has this right in the case of a public institution. What appeared to be needed was some regular report on the efficiency of every employee, which should be taken into account in assigning marks or in some other way in making promotions, made in such permanent form that it could be filed as a record. Such reports are, of course, constantly made orally and acted upon, without any record being preserved. They are occasionally made in recordable form, perhaps most often in the case of apprentices or members of training classes. In some cases, derelictions or unfavorable reports alone have been recorded, but a complete report on personality and work made regularly and filed permanently is a thing that has not come under my observation, although, of course, it may exist. Having decided to adopt some such form of report in the St. Louis Public Library, the librarian laid the matter before the weekly conference of department heads and branch librarians. Had the question been the advisability of the adoption of such a form, the sentiment of the meeting would probably have been against it, but the announcement was simply that the librarian had decided to require regularly thereafter, in shape suitable for filing, information regarding the efficiency of assistance that had hitherto been received irregularly and by word of mouth. A staff committee was appointed to draft a form of report, and the reports of progress of this committee, with the incidental discussions and conferences, occupied nearly a year, during which time everyone on the staff became thoroughly familiar with the plan and either agreed with the librarian regarding its advisability or had some reasonable and well-considered ground of opposition. The librarian had in mind a short form containing a few important data. The committee brought in a long one, somewhat longer than that finally adopted, which is given below. Their reason, as stated, was that it is easier to answer a large number of questions that require hardly more than the words yes and no in reply than a few, each of which calls for the writing of an essay, however brief. This reason appealed to all and finally prevailed. It means practically the presentation of the information required, ready-made, and its adoption or rejection by the person making the report. Discussion in the meeting was chiefly on the more personal items of information, such as those about neatness of dress, etc. Also about others whose propriety or clearness was questioned, such as that regarding loyalty to the library. Some of these were finally stricken out, but most were retained. It was also noted that in many cases the information asked for could not ordinarily be obtained. A department head, for instance, may be intimate enough with one of her assistants to know whether she has a real appreciation for literature, but in most instances this would not be the case. Many such questions were retained on the ground that answers, if possible, would be of value, and, if not, could simply be omitted. After the forms had thus been put into shape, they were duplicated and a copy was given to each department head with instructions to show it to all her assistants, discuss it with them, and report at the next meeting. The reports showed that the reception of the form had depended chiefly on the department head, either through a manner of presentation or through personal influence. In some departments, the plan seemed to be viewed with equanimity, while in others there was a considerable amount of suspicion, distrust, and dislike of the whole scheme. It was next announced that anyone on the staff desiring to discuss the matter with the librarian would be given an opportunity to do so at a specified meeting. This was well attended, and it appeared that much of the feeling was due to misunderstanding. It was explained that no new method of making promotions was contemplated, and that personality and efficiency would be taken into account neither more nor less than before, but that the reports from which the librarian derived his information on these points would be required in writing, thus safeguarding both the appointing officer and the appointees. There seemed to be a strong feeling on the part of some that personal feeling might actuate some department head to make a false report, and that while, of course, such report might be made even more effectively if rendered orally, it would be a pity to have it permanently on record. There was no answer to this except that the likelihood of such a misleading report would probably become known to the librarian, who could reject or modify it. In due course of time, a sufficient number of blanks were distributed, filled, and handed in. They were then discussed again at a meeting, and questions that had come up in the practical rendition of the reports were brought up and settled. A filled report regarding the work of every classified assistant in this library is now on file in the librarian's office. The conditions under which these reports are made and held are as follows. Every question must be answered, or the reason for not doing so must be stated. The reports are to be made out regularly on the first of each year, or oftener at the librarian's request. Each is accessible only to the librarian, to the reporting officer, and to the assistant reported on, except when a transfer is to be made, when the head of the department to which the assistant is to be transferred may also consult the record. Since the reports were made out, only about half a dozen assistants have requested to be shown their records. Some others were allowed to see them before they were handed in. Such excitement as there was regarding the matter has now abated, and the matter has been relegated to its proper plane in the scheme of library things. This is due, probably, very largely, to the plan of conducting the whole matter on a free and open basis, in consultation with the staff at every point, and also to the length of time that was allowed to elapse between steps. Publicity and deliberation are the two necessary things in a procedure of this kind, and both are commended to librarians wishing to adopt this kind of record. There is no doubt in my mind that some efficiency record is necessary and valuable, and that a full record, including the usual high percentage of good things with the possible proportion of bad ones, is preferable to a mere blacklist on which only the bad is recorded. The blank, as finally adopted, is produced herewith. St. Louis Public Library. Record of efficiency. Name. Inverted in full. Branch or department. Length of service in department or branch. Present grade of assistant. Entered the library. A. Personal qualities. 1. Physically strong enough for the work? How much time lost while in department and why? 2. Knowledge of books. Improving in this? 3. All-around information? 4. Appreciation for real literature. 5. Resourceful? Systematic? 6. Self-possessed in a rush or emergency? 7. Executive ability? Decision? 8. Accurate? Quick? Adaptable? 9. Industrious? Careless? 10. Obliging to fellow workers? 11. Punctual? Times tardy? Excusable? 12. Forgetful? Inclined to gossip? 13. Neat and appropriate in dress? B. Relations with the public. 1. Uniformly courteous, dignified. 2. Inclined to entertain personal visitors. 3. Effective in work with adults. 4. Effective in work with children. C. Grade as excellent, good, fair, or poor. 1. Library hand. 2. Printing. 3. Typewriting. 4. Shorthand. D. Did the assistant improve while with you? In what way? And what did she fall short? E. If the assistant had weak points, did you call her attention to them? F. What did you especially like about the assistant? G. Do you consider the assistant fitted or unfitted by personality, education, and practical efficiency to work in any one of the following departments? Grade her work as excellent, good, fair, or poor, stating also length of service at each kind of work. 1. An all-around branch assistant in this library. 2. A children's librarian. 3. A reference department assistant. 4. A catalog department assistant. 5. A desk assistant. 6. A clerical assistant. 7. An assistant in other lines. Specify. If you do not consider the assistant so fitted, give particular reasons. H. Is the assistant loyal to the library? I. Has the assistant enthusiasm in her work? J. Would you be satisfied to have the assistant in your branch, department, not considering the fact that you might prefer someone else? L. Remarks. Date, signature, title. End of section 19. Read by Ellen Corcoran.